Hello, and welcome to the Undead Celluloid Society. I am Rachel,
I'm Michael.
and today we are covering the 2023 film Totally Killer, which was my pick. So excited about this.
Yes, it was Rachel's pick.
It was my pick. Okay,
2023.
it wasn't really my pick, but
Yeah, we had a couple other films, but we had trouble finding them.
we had trouble
anywhere to
finding
watch.
them. And honestly, so glad because love this movie. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Totally Killer is set in 20...
I was like today. I don't know.
Today's world. And it's about this girl who her mom is like super protective of her, and she made her take like self-defense classes, and it is always like, keep your pepper spray, your rape whistle, everything on you at all times, right? Because in the 80s, three of her best friends were murdered.
Well, we don't know that they're her best friends.
Okay, three of her friends, called the Mollies, were murdered. And they were stabbed 16 times, and they're all 16, so 16 is a big number. And then you get, she goes out to this concert with her friend, and she's got this blasé attitude. Sorry, I can't with lights. She's got this very standoffish attitude with her mom. She's like, "Oh, mom, you're being paranoid, whatever, right?" Then her mom gets murdered. Brutally. Well, she stabbed 16 times, right? Her mom gets brutally murdered. My mind was blown. Okay. I was slapping Michael. And then basically her best friend is a genius because her mom was a genius. And her mom had started building a time machine when she was young and gave up on it. And her daughter had as her high school science fair project, kind of started to do it again. And the killer comes back, obviously, because he murdered her mom. And he comes to where they're having their science fair, which is this old run down amusement park,
Fairground.
Yeah, fairgrounds thing, called Billy's or something. And he chases her into her friend's time machine and transports her back to 1987 before all of the murders. So basically she spends the entire movie trying to prevent the deaths of her the girls who were murdered in 1987, and prevents one death. Marissa. She prevents Marissa's death, but Marissa and the other girl, I should really have this up on my phone. Very, very, Michael doesn't like the placement of our microphone, apparently.
No, it's moving by itself. It's not me.
But
I'm trying to hold it in place.
So she goes back in time, and she tells her best friend's mom back in the day that she's like, "Listen, your time machine worked," and she's like, "Yeah, you know what? Okay," and she's like, "You're totally cool with this." She's like, "Well, when you're considering the possibility of time travel, you gotta kind of be ready for everything." So she was totally on board, right? Nobody else was, obviously. So she had to come at it as a different angle. So she's a psychic. So then her mom, back in the day, believes her, kind of. And she's trying to prevent all these deaths. And they catch the killer. A bunch of stuff that we'll get into happens. She catches the killer. They stab him. And then another killer comes along, and she has to... Sorry, my cat is screaming.
River wants to play with her setup.
He does.
I'm trying to shoot him away. Sorry, continue, Rachel.
And he's just so cute. I'm sorry. You guys will see my cats one day. They're adorable. But anyway, so basically the other killer comes in, and she he's from the future because he stole the futuristic time machine. She kills him and saves the day. But that's the gist of it. And obviously, like, this is different, but that's because this is my pick. So I was like, listen, I gotta do this whole thing, and I'm so excited about it because this movie is awesome. No, it's not a low budget movie, but as far as like horror slasher films go, such a good movie. Like, the whole time, like, I'm over here like grabbing Michael, I'm like, ooh! Like, I was so excited about it. It was such a great movie. But anyway, so I really went through the whole synopsis pretty quickly.
You blew through that. You blew
I'm sorry,
through that.
I'm so excited about this movie.
So kind of imagine Back to the Future.
Yes! And they reference that.
Yeah, they do reference it quite a bit. Back to the Future, but like a slasher film. The reason that Kiernan Shipka, who is the lead, you might know her from Sabrina.
Love her.
Her mom was murdered, like Rachel said. The whole point of them going back in time is to stop that from happening. Stopping the original killing from happening so that
she can save her mom. Yeah.
That's the ripple that they're going for.
Also, I want to add the whole timeline thing, just so our viewers know. It's not like the Marvel timeline where, you know, you have one timeline and if you change something in the past, you get a new timeline. This is, they say in the movie, the timeline is more like a river. Mm-hmm. If you change something, it still flows. Yep. So whatever you do in the past changes in the future.
But there's no, like, multiverses.
Yeah, there's no multiverses. There's no, like, multiple timelines.
It doesn't branch off into different paths.
So whatever you do in the past, it changes it in the future.
Yeah, and it very much follows those rules in this film.
Yes. Which
I think I'm
gonna pull up the...
There's so there's a big contrast for me, like, noticing. The big contrast for me is how different groups of people raised in different time periods interact with each other. Mm-hmm. Like, for instance, and when we're at the very beginning of the film, Kiernan Shipka's character, Jamie, was with her. She's with her parents. She wants to go to a concert. They agree to let her go, and she's going to pick up one of her friends. And she walks outside of the house, and her dad rolls the window down and says, "I thought you were going to go get your friend." And she's like, "I did. I texted her that we were here." And he said, "Why don't you just knock?" And she's like, "Ew, Dad, that's so rude."
So rude.
And he's because like,
apparently knocking on the door is rude.
Nowadays. Yeah. He's like, what? It's like he's just like sitting there, like, what the heck?
I mean, like, I live in this timeline or time zone.
Yeah, that is weird. But I don't know. I feel like I text people too when I want them to know I'm here. But still, I don't
text you.
Yeah, but I don't like stand outside your house just like waiting for a response.
She also didn't drive.
She didn't drive. That's true. And then especially once we time travel back to the 80s, there is a lot of commentary on like how things were back in the 80s versus like now. For instance, there's a mom that picks up Jamie and takes her to the school, and she's hotboxing that car with her like two like little kids in the back smoking cigarettes. She's smoking cigarettes, closed windows. It's like hotboxing that thing.
The smoke rolls out.
Yeah, it's like you can't even see inside the car. It is kind of ridiculous.
I cringe. I'm like, they probably smell so much like smoke.
Yes, yeah. As people that grew up with parents that smoked cigarettes, we know what that smell is like.
My mom never did that though. Like,
my mom did.
Well, I mean, my mom at least rolled the windows down.
No, I mean like at your house.
Oh, mom never smoked in the house.
Oh, okay. Well, I always had the issue of having it smell like cigarettes, so like I'd always like spray cologne on. So yeah, I lived with that. Love you, Mom. But yeah, so there's that. Then when she gets into the high school, she like is like, "Hey, I'm a transfer student from Prince Albert Island, Canada," which I don't know if that's a real place or not. I mean, maybe it might be. And then she's like, "They were supposed to send my papers over, and they never did." And then she like instantly like gives her a transcript, like, "Here you go." That's it. Doesn't ask any other questions about it. So it's like it's a commentary on like how much more simplistic and crazy things were in the 80s.
Prince Edward Island.
Well, same thing.
And whatever. It is a real place. But anyway.
But so there's a lot of commentary on like how things were then versus now. And a lot of it is we're viewing 80s culture through a 2020s lens of, this is bad, you shouldn't say this, you shouldn't do that. Well, I mean, there's still bullying now, but like the way they bully people.
The way they bullied, like, comments and calling people fat and stuff.
Yeah, there's there's a lot more of, I mean, people still call people fat and stuff nowadays, but I feel like it's like less and less it's not the same bullying you see in school
but
now.
it wouldn't be like how back in the movie back in the 80s, it was like the cool girls were like calling the one character Fat Trish.
Oh yeah, Fat Trish. Yeah, Fat Trish was her name in this movie.
Yeah, nobody would like go along with that. Like that, people would ostracize the popular people. At least where I went to school with.
Yeah, it's like you're being kind of a jerk. Like you need to like chill out.
Yeah, people were a lot nicer. Maybe it was just my high school, but people were a lot nicer. Like
we went to the same high school.
But I also went to a different high school.
That's true. You did.
Like one of our my senior year, our prom king was can you say autistic? He was on
you can say he's autistic.
He was on the spectrum. He's a super cool kid. He was so nice. He remembered everybody's birthdays.
That's pretty. That's
yeah,
pretty
no,
impressive.
like literally the first time I met him, he's like, "You're Rachel Gurdage. Your birthday is one, blah blah blah." But
that's pretty impressive.
He was so cool, and he was our prom king. Like that's how the people.
Oh, good for him.
Like that's how awesome. The people in my school were. Like you had the cliques, but like people were nice to the. Yeah, they didn't bully as much.
That wouldn't have happened in the 80s. You're right.
Yeah.
We don't. There's no instances of that in this movie. There's no like mention of like.
No.
I don't think there is.
No, there wasn't. I was just saying like how they call it like the dorky kids. Like dorky
nerds,
kids. Like everyone's into like nerdy shit nowadays, right?
At the end of the movie, when he sees that necklace, he's like, I don't know, some nerd jewelry.
Yeah, like people are into nerdy shit nowadays.
So interesting thing to say to that. You don't see that until like mid 20 teens actually, where nerd culture has started to become more embraced by mainstream society. Yeah. Before that, it's like super nerdy. It's like kind of underground to like nerd stuff.
Yeah, like nobody knew I was into Star Wars.
But yeah, before that, it's like now it's like totally acceptable, like to be a nerd, and no one cares. Like it's like the people that like sports also like nerd stuff. Yeah. I mean, like there's so many NFL players that do like
people embrace
nerd stuff.
Their nerdiness.
Yeah, like it's more socially acceptable now versus 20, 30, 40 years ago. And you do see a lot of that in this movie of like that kind of ostracizing. I mean, there's just so many. I mean,
and they play off of it too.
Yes, they do. They make jokes of it. It's not like
it's not totally like I'm totally offended.
Yeah, they're not.
They play at it.
They do. There is some like. There's a lot of social commentary. I know for me, it's really hard to just keep viewing society through like our lens, like back in the past, because of course we know things are wrong, and we grow as society, and we can point that stuff out. But it's like there comes a point where it's just like you kind of beat a dead bush. For me, I'm agreeing that all of this stuff that is said is wrong. It's just at some point it gets to be a little too preachy. It doesn't happen in this film as much as in some other films, but overall, like the film is very not what you're going to expect going into it. The only thing that you really know going into it is that there is a serial killer. There was a serial killer in the 80s that killed people, and then a killer strikes again in the present day. Kills Jamie's mom. Brutally.
And this
kills
woman
her.
has taken self-defense classes.
Yeah, she was beating the shit out of him.
She had gun things. And she had like her pepper. Okay, she had guns. She had pepper spray. Like she had everything. Had like her moves. And she was still brutally murdered.
She was killed very brutally.
I was shocked.
What?
I was shocked because she was telling her daughter, "Be careful, do this, and that," and she's like, "Yeah, Mom, I know. Like you taught me all this stuff, or whatever."
You know, an interesting thing too as to why she probably blames herself for her mom's murder is because her mom said, "Okay, you can go to that concert, but your dad has to go with you." If her dad wouldn't have been there, maybe she'd still be alive.
Yeah.
So Jamie experiences a lot of guilt from her mother dying. Obviously, went to the concert. She didn't really treat her that well. I mean, we don't really see her being that mean to her mom. She just kind of rebels against her mom a little bit. I mean, okay,
I would never talk to my mom. So
she does say,
She's
your
very
friends, three people you went to high school with died. Get over it.
Yeah.
And she finds out later that they were best friends.
Yeah.
So
but then the thing is that the mom was like, I would never talk to my mom that way, right?
Which is not true.
Not true. You see her talk to her mom that way.
Yeah,
later
that's why she mentions that's why Grandma never comes over for Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah. And
so there's a lot of like family trauma involved.
There's a lot, yeah.
We get introduced to some interesting characters when they're adults, and then it's really funny to see them as kids. But the movie, so you don't get confused with names and stuff, the movie flashes to who they are as an adult.
Yes.
That way you're not confused in any way as to who is. Yeah. But I will say, Chris's character, we only see like once before the fight,
a few times
in the 80s.
Yeah, no, you see him like 2 or 3 times.
Do we?
Yeah.
I feel like we don't.
But
see
it's just
them
like flashes of him.
it's not a lot.
No, it's not.
He's not a prominent character in the 80s.
Chris Dupassage is a
douche-passage.
He is the Sweet 16 Killer podcast host.
Hilarious intro to this because he's introducing these people that are all wearing the serial killer's mask on this tour walk, and he takes them to like one of the first girl's house where she gets murdered, and it has been since turned into like a fast food restaurant.
Or the pizza joint.
Yeah, and this lady comes out with like free samples of like food for people to eat, and she's like, well, they say he's a serial killer, but he only killed 3 people. You know, for me, a serial killer would be like 6. And he's like, thanks, Angie. I really appreciate that. Let's give it up for Angie, who wishes more people were killed.
And then, turns out, he is the second killer.
Well, he is the killer. And,
no, not
in the main timeline. So
is
like the principal.
Yeah. So Doug is the principal in the present, right? But it turns out he was the killer back then because all of the people he killed
bullied Fat
Trish, and she.
Can we get a rest in peace for Fat Trish in the chat, please? Fat Trish. She lived a well life.
Like how she died basically was the Mollies. They invited her to a party.
But Pam wasn't there.
Except Pam, who is Jamie's mom.
Yes.
They invited her to a party because I don't remember why.
Oh, because they thought that she was banging one of the coaches. And Coach Zane. And they wanted to know if it was true, so they brought her over, got her drunk, and were asking her questions about it.
Right, and then they let her drive home, and she wrapped her car around a tree and died. So Doug, who was her boyfriend at the time, who ended up being...
She called him that night, too.
Yeah, so she called him, like, upset that they were bullying her, and then she drove home and died. So, like, Doug who was her boyfriend, ended up killing all of them.
Yes.
That's how, like, that's the whole connectivity of it.
He does kill them out of sequence in this film because of Jamie's involvement.
Yeah, so that's another thing with the timeline.
He kills one girl before he kills another girl.
Right, so he killed Heather before he killed Marissa.
Yes. So
it was supposed to be Tiffany, Marissa, Heather, and then in the present time, Pam, who is Jamie's mom, she died.
Yeah, but she doesn't really have anything to do with the original killings.
No, she was just a Molly.
She was just a Molly, and the reason that Chris, you find out, Chris is the one that kills Pam. I call her Molly. Chris kills Pam in the future because he runs that podcast, and since he's running a podcast on a specific event that happened 30 years ago with 3 kills, there's only so much material that he can cover, and he wants to continue
up his viewership
and like have more content, so he kills Pam and also makes up a letter that says that you're next one day, which is something that he wrote. He gives that to Jamie to make him basically, like he says, Michael Myers.
Yeah.
So that it's like a boogeyman scenario. I think that
sorry, cat's going crazy.
More cats. But yeah, so his motive is just that. Also, his dad is like a 2-time Pulitzer-winning
news
reporter.
Anchor?
Yeah, news anchor. He's like out in the storms and stuff. He's that guy from, I don't remember what his name is, but there's a dude that's like on CNN or Weather Channel or somewhere that like is like notorious for being like in storms while he reports stuff.
Oh yeah. He's in a hurricane. They show him in a hurricane.
He's in a hurricane, but that happens. There's the guy. He's based on a guy in real life. I don't know who it is.
Oh, but yeah, in the movie, he's in a hurricane. Doesn't have any like umbrella or doesn't have his hood up. They say.
Yeah.
And he's just like in the middle of it.
Yeah, Jamie's dad loves Norm Dubasage, hates Chris Dubasage. Douche-basage.
Yeah.
Yeah, he loves Norm though.
Yeah, and Chris Dubasage hates his dad because his dad doesn't care about him. His dad only cares about the viewership and getting his next Pulitzer Prize.
Pulitzer Prize, yes. So yeah, there's a lot of parental angst here. Well, Jamie kind of overcomes it. Then she gets a gay brother at the end, an older gay brother.
Yeah, so like obviously like she changed the timeline, and her parents were not supposed to get together
until they were in college.
Until after college.
Yes.
And they got together in high school. So when she comes back to the present time, she has a brother who is like 36. So he's like 10 years. 34. Who's like 10 years at least. No. Way more than that. 15 years at least. She was still in high school.
14 years. She was a junior, so she was like 17, 18.
17, so that's
it's like 17 years.
5, 6,
17
7.
years.
Yeah, so 17 years older than her.
Engineer.
And his name is Jamie. And her name is no longer Jamie, it is Colette. And like, I would be like, what? My whole ass name changed.
Your name's not the same. And he also has a husband, and he has a daughter. Adopted daughter.
Yes.
I mean, obviously they didn't have a daughter.
So, honestly, like, she won because she was an only child, and then she came back with a sibling, and siblings are great.
I don't see how she's winning. I mean,
you're an only child. You wouldn't get it.
I'm not an only child.
No, you're not. Oh, I'm sorry.
Anyways.
He's not. My bad, guys. Anyways, only children who's not Michael would not get it, but siblings are great. Anyways.
So it's Jamie gets a journal at the end. The journal originally was her best friend's mom's journal about like time travel stuff.
Great ideas.
Like, and I got a bunch of like different dimensions and stuff. But the journal now that she receives from her friend's mom, that she bonded with in the past, is everything that's changed. So she's wrote. Here, the one thing that kind of bothers me about that is that she would know what's different for her versus.
Or maybe she just wrote on everything.
She just wrote, yeah. But it's weird to say everything that's changed because like she wouldn't know what's changed.
Yeah, it's
you know
true.
what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
So, but like she kept a journal of everything that has transpired in the last 30 years, so that Jamie's character.
14. At least.
What was
not 30.
1988? 20... 24?
Okay.
She didn't go back to when she was born.
You're right.
She went back to when she was like 17.
I messed that one up.
So
Sorry.
yeah, so she gives her that journal, and that segues into the credits, which I thought was pretty clever of showing all the differences for each character. So it's a very intriguing film, I will say. Very different from a lot of stuff that we watch. Also, if this is your first video with us, we don't cover higher budgeted films for the most part. This is a special.
What'd you say this one was?
35.
35 million?
35 million.
35 million.
15 over what we used. No, 20 over what we used to cover.
20 over low budget.
Yeah, so low budget is considered 15 or below. We typically cover low budget horror films. So if you are tuning into this just for a review of Totally Killer, please check out our other stuff. We cover stuff that you may not have ever heard of.
We never did.
Yeah, we have certainly never heard of it before we watched it.
Anyway.
But
Michael, what did you like?
So I really liked the acting for me was great.
Oh yeah, because you love the main character.
I love Kieran Shipka. I am a fanboy for Kieran Shipka. I think she's great. She is an asset to the horror genre. In every horror movie that she's in and show, she's in Sabrina. She's great. I liked the plot. I liked the explanation for things. I think that it did. So there's a comment made by the sheriff in the 80s about how he doesn't want to watch Back to the Future because he doesn't like time travel movies because they are overly complicated, which is mostly true for a lot of them. And this one does a pretty good job of not being overly complicated, and I appreciate that. I think that the story flows well. It's a brisk watch. It doesn't feel like it drudges on at any point. It knows its audience, so it's not. It's self-aware to the point that it's funny, but it's not just trying to be funny. It's also, there's some horrific stuff that happens in it, and I appreciate that. As for what I don't like in the film, I mean, the other thing I like in the movie is I'm a sucker for the 80s, like 80s stuff, and this movie takes place primarily in the 80s, and I appreciate that. As for what I don't like that it gets to be a little preachy in some points. I mean, there comes a point when, like, I get, like, we're making fun of, like, bad tropes from it, but at some point you have to move on from that. We gotta, like, move on into something else to make me laugh. Not that it's not heavy-handed in any way, but there are some stuff there are sometimes I can be like, all right, I get it. This is stupid. It's dumb. We can move on. Like, the biggest one for me is when Kieran Shipka is at the cabin, and her mom says, you want to les out with me the whole weekend? And she has to pause and make a whole statement about how that was a problematic statement to say because gay people are cool and not gross and stuff like that. It's like you didn't have to say that. Like I get the message you're trying to send. Totally fine. No issue with the message at all. But it's something you don't got to say. It's just like it's over explaining at that point to me. I also thought that Chris's motivation was kind of weak. For me, he was a pretty lame reveal. I wish we would have gotten just a little bit more of Fat Trish's story, or got to meet Fat Trish, or something to give her boyfriend's Doug's reveal as the killer some more weight. Because really, all we know is that he's kind of nerdy. So just a little bit more fat there would help make this pretty well. Ironically, I say fat. We're talking about Fat Trish, not the fat I'm talking about. But yeah, so I mean, not a whole lot of dislike. I enjoyed this film pretty much overall. It's a easy watch for sure.
Definitely an easy watch.
How about you, Rach?
What did I like?
What do you like? What do you hate?
Hold on. Move it a little bit. Okay. So, what I liked how they showed the differences in, culture versus, present versus 80s. I did like that. I liked their representation of, time travel timelines. It was very uncomplicated, like we said. I liked so I feel like in other, like, time travel movies, like, they try not to disrupt, right? They try not to disrupt the timeline and, like, things that are done. And
that's all Jamie's doing.
That is all Jamie's doing. She's calling her mom on accident and changing Mamacita, hot mama.
No wonder she thinks that she's into her.
Yeah, no, it's hilarious. So I think that was really fun. That was a real fun play on that. I loved how it just, like, takes you through all these twists and turns. Like, she thinks one person's getting killed, but, like, now someone else is getting killed, and I really liked that, and it blew my mind so many times. Like, I was grabbing Michael, and I was doing this and stuff. Literally at one point I stood on the couch. I stood on the couch. I was so, like, just like, ugh, like, brain stopped working for a second. I really, really liked all that. What I did not like, I didn't like Chris's whole part in it.
Yeah, he's kind of lame.
Yeah, but, like, it was so... To me, it was obvious, because, like, he was a suspect at the beginning.
He felt kind of forced to me.
Well, like I said at the beginning, the first two suspects in the first, 10 minutes was the dad and Chris Dubasage. And it was just, like... him killing his dad was just, like, too much. Like, I understand you hate your dad, but you're not just gonna murder him.
Just, like, drive-by stabs him in the head as he's chasing.
Yeah.
Yes, he's chasing Jamie. Just, like, drive-by stabs him in the head, and that's it.
And I'm like, really? Like, that guy's in the past. Like, move on, dude. Like, you've got your own life now. Like, yeah, you're trying to be so much like your dad, but, like, I don't know. His whole...
Well, he said that, like, he had, like, trauma growing up with his dad.
Yeah, that was way too predictable. I don't know. I feel like it would have been better.
It was a throwaway line that he gave. It was kind of lame.
It would have been better if it was, like, someone... Like, because this movie was a bunch of, of just, like, twists and turns, like, that you kind of didn't see coming, almost, right? So it would have been better if it was someone else. Like, if it was... was her name Kara? So, like, the sheriff in the 80s...
Yeah, Kara and...
His daughter, Kara, ended up being the sheriff in the present day, and they were both kind of lame sheriffs. Like, they didn't do shit.
They're not very good at their jobs.
They're not. Like, and
at all.
And Jamie calls
The
Kara out on
DNA
it.
scene is hilarious.
Yeah, and she's like, "How about you do a better job than your broke ass rent-a-cop dad and find the killer?" And like, oh, I freaking loved that line. I loved it.
It was good.
And because like Kara hates her dad we never found out why.
She doesn't say she hates her dad.
You know, she said, "You hate my dad, and, like, this is why you're, like, being such a dick to me," basically. She says that when they were interviewing her.
Because, when, it must be from that, hospital scene when he accuses Kara of being the one that killed.
Oh, Heather.
Yeah. It would have been the opposite, you know?
Maybe.
That's why she flipped him off, yeah.
Maybe, but I don't know.
We don't really get a whole lot of that.
Like
That's true.
Better if it was her or something, you know? Cause
you wanted Kara to be the killer?
Because she was like, "I told you I'm not a killer." Like,
yeah, she like stabs Doug in the chest with a scythe.
A scythe. A real scythe.
Hardcore scythe.
It's just like, yeah, my dad gave it to me. There's a killer around. Like, who carries around a scythe? Like,
yeah,
you're
you
a
the
freaking
Grim Reaper?
psycho.
Okay.
You're a psycho. But, no, Chris being it was just like kind of like a, okay.
Yeah.
But other than that, like, I freaking love this movie. And that might just, you know, be me being...
That'll influence Rachel's decision for sure.
I just loved it.
So, we're going to go into our
ratings
now. So, movie production and likability. For me, movie production, looking at the budget, looking at the acting. I mean, it's not really fair because the budget's pretty high for a slasher film. It's
this kind of slasher.
Yeah, for this kind of slasher film. Directing, acting, everything all around. I'm gonna give this film a 3.8 out of 5. I thought it was well made. I thought that, you know, there's a lot that there's some things I would improve on dialogue wise and some continuity for me. Mm-hmm. For me, it's like the thing that they put as their biggest strength, the time travel, is also like something that brings them down a little bit for me. Okay. So I'm going to give it a 3.8 out of 5. Okay. Rachel wants to kill me for that. Right. Likability, though. I will say, I liked this movie a lot. I had a lot of fun with it. I enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed pretty much everything about it. So I'm going to give Totally Killer a 4.8 out of 5. So that total is, oh my gosh, I got to do my
8. 2.8 or 3.8?
4.8.
No, the production.
3.8.
3.8? That's so an 8.6.
8.6 out of 10 is my final results for Totally Killer. Very enjoyable film. I would definitely recommend it to any of my friends. And anyone listening, you guys should definitely watch it. Rachel, what is your thoughts on this film? As if we don't know.
As if we don't know. Okay, so production-wise, great acting, great movie, great shots. Thought it was really well done. I'm gonna go ahead. Listen. I'm gonna probably regret this in the future. I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5.
I knew you would.
I'm gonna regret this because I'm gonna watch a movie that's greater, and be like, well, I gave that one a 10 out of. Okay.
Oh, you already
said I already said it. I'm gonna give it 10 out of 10. And okay, so likability, I loved it. It threw me for a loop a bunch of times, which I love, but it also told me what I needed to know, unlike the last movie we watched. So it's getting a 5 out of 5. So if we're going with a 10 out of 10.
Rachel's got a 10 out of 10.
10
I got
out of 10.
8.6 out of 10. Remember this in the future, guys, when we cover our other films. If Rachel ever gives another movie a 10,
it's not her opinion, Michael. I can.
You can have a 10. That's fine. I'm
know
just
what?
saying. We just gotta remember.
My ratings are so.
It's a good movie to give a 10 to.
They're
I'm not judging you.
They are not linear at all. Like they're
It's
just.
not. It's a good movie to give a 10 to.
It's a good movie.
I'm not
movie.
gonna.
You know, and Michael's. You watched this already. And this is my first time. And
It's
I'm
my
just,
third time watching it.
Okay, it's your third time watching it. I freaking love this movie.
Yes.
As far as slasher goes, it's a good one.
It is a good
It's
one.
such a good one.
Yeah, we definitely
Also,
we definitely recommend
it
it.
has an unfair advantage of having a higher budget, but
It does. But
So,
I mean, it's also your pick.
it was my bonus pick. So
Yeah, so it's not cheating. We don't cheat.
I picked
we
a
don't,
good one.
We don't bend the rules around here.
Because
Except
honestly-
when we bend the rules, we do. You know.
I'm gonna be honest. My first pick was The Gorge. If you haven't watched it, watch it. Great movie. Couldn't get it. And then
We
the
don't got
next
Apple
pick
TV.
was The Conjuring because
Which we also couldn't do.
one of my absolute favorite horror movies. Could not get it
We'll
because we
cover
don't
it
have
at
all
some-
those subscriptions. Okay,
As
we broke.
as for you guys out there going, well, I want to see you guys cover The Conjuring. We'll definitely we'll cover it at some point.
One day.
One day
One
we'll
day,
cover it.
maybe.
One day we'll cover it.
It is my absolute favorite horror series.
Anytime you beautiful
Absolute favorite.
Anytime you beautiful cellulites comment on our channel and want us to cover movies, I will always promise you that we will cover what you guys request. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
So-
and what is our next movie?
Our next movie.
Okay, what is our next series?
Oh gosh, we are going into our creature feature series next.
Feature.
So we are covering Lake Placid, not just Lake Placid. And if you are a person that thought there's more than one, there's 4. Well, there's 5. But we're not covering the last one because it's a reboot. And then we're covering all of the Anaconda series.
And then
If you thought that there was just one Anaconda with Ice Cube, you are wrong. There are 4 or 5. I'm not sure. And then there's a crossover where they fight. This is like the Marvel of creature features.
feature.
They're going to fight each other at the end. And you know
So
what?
excited.
We're going to figure out. We're going to have to actually watch all of these. And then before we watch the last one where they fight, we're going to have to figure out who we're going to want to win. Who we're rooting for, you know? Are you rooting for
Bet.
You're gonna root for the anaconda. You're gonna root for the.
Play
You're
some
gonna root for the
bets, guys.
crocodile. We're gonna have to play some bets. We'll make a poll when we get to that, and then
Yeah.
what do you guys vote on? Who's gonna win between the two? Don't look it up, or don't watch it before you vote on the poll because that'd be kind of cheating.
But yeah, and we might have a special guest next time.
We will have a special guest, our first guest ever
First guest.
for the Lake Placid movie. We will introduce him, obviously, when he comes on. But we really appreciate you guys listening. We are...
The Undead Celluloid Society. And
And
I'm Rachel.
I'm Michael. And we appreciate you cellulites for listening. Thank you guys very much. Please like and subscribe to this channel. Share it with all your horror nerd friends. Because we're horror nerds. And we like meeting other horror nerds. So, until next time,
Next time.
thank you guys for listening.
Thank you.